Welcome to Kol Elavat Israel. Good afternoon. We are on the second class today of, we are doing the Mesilת Yesharim. This is chapter 5. Be'ezat Hashem, as usual, we want to thank first and foremost our sponsors, Mr. Dani Almog and his family for all they do, Be'ezat Hashem, and to help families. And I want to do a special thank also to Chabad Yussi and to Bernie and Zavid Baruch, Ephraim and Suzanne Kahana, Refuah Shlema to both of them. And as usual, we'll do Refuah Shlema, so Be'ezat Hashem, if you have somebody in mind, you're welcome to just send us the information, and we'll be happy to post. And we have Be'ezat Hashem Refuah to Flori Bat Rachel, Anat Bat Zizel, Chaim Raymond Ben Yaakov Ben Genia, Yaniv Meir Ben Chana Anet, Mordechai Ben Esther, Einav Bat Sarah, Karen Bat Aliza, Binyamin Ben Natan, Violeta Bat Dora, Rachel Ifrach, Natan Igal Ben Shirin, Nachman Ben Ruth, Adelia Bat Sarah, Bat Sheva Bat Rivka, Michal Bat Ruchama. Anybody else?
Remember the
Pinchas Ben Sarah,
and then
Malka Bat Shara. Be'ezat Hashem. And להבדיל אלף אלפי הבדלות, רפואה שלמה אבי מורי ניסים בן פרחי, אמי מורתי רחל דהן בת רוחמה, לחיים מאיר אברהם יעקב, שרה בת קלרה, נחה בת אסתר, חנוך בן גרשון הכהן, פרוספר סללי בן אליס רבקה, יהודה אריה בן שרה, שמחה בת שרה, and Burl Yosef ben Gittel, and your mother? Rachel Leah Bat Miriam.
So tonight that yahrzeit begins.
Rachel Leah Bat Miriam?
Yes.
בעזרת השם. יחד, הקדוש ברוך הוא ינחם בגן עדן עם כל חללי צבא הגנה ישראל, חללי השואה והאיבה. השם יקום את נקמתם בעזרת השם. Alright, so we are now, it's chapter 5 of Mesilat Yesharim, and we are Path of the Righteous, the Ramchal, as we mentioned. This is what's the factors that detract from a person vigilance and how to avoid them. So, you know, it's called Mafsidei HaZeirut ve'Harchaka mehem. How do we, chas v'chalila, refrain from losing the vigilant in our life? So, it says, Hine mafsidei hamida hazot. Who are the people that lose this kind of midah, chas v'chalila, and get away? And there's 3 elements that remove you from being careful. One of them is people that worry about the mundane things in the world. Always on TV, watching the news, always reading every article. They have to be so enamored with current affair, this and this president, that president, this country. They waste too much time on tirda olamit, it's called. It's called, what's tirda olamit? It's really a person that's involvement in everything that has to do with worldly matters. You waste your time. That's the first one. The second one, haschok ve'alatzon, is a person that, like a clown, always has the levity and mockery. You know, that's all he wants to hear. Funny things. He wants to hear comedian, to be a comedian. He wastes his time. Chaz v'chalila. I think life is a big joke, right? The third one is a person that's in a bad company, right? השלישי זה החברה הרעה. And the Ramchal now is going to go to each one of them and what does it really mean. So, you know, of course, we know that those 3 elements could remove a person from being careful in their lives. And how to go about it, the Ramchal says, Hine hatipul, meaning here is the way to, Be'ezat Hashem, fight it and take care of this. So remember, the first one we said is person that's involved with worldly matters as if like he owns the world. The second one is a joker. The third one is keeps with bad company. So the Ramch says, הנה הטיפול והטרדה. It says, כבר דיברנו מהם למעלה, meaning that we spoke about it before, but also our הקדוש ברוך הוא already gave that to all of us, in Matan Torah. We all know within us there is what we call conscious, so to speak, matzpun. We know what's right and wrong. But it says here, כי בהיותו האדם טרוד בענייני עולמו, meaning a person that always worry about what's happening in the world and everything that has with the matter of the world and his own worlds and other, so to speak. הנה מחשבותיו אסורות בזיקי המסע עליהם. He said, always worried, right? Because when people worry about business, we worry about this. As we said, business, bezenes, it's a miracle. The parnasa come from Hashem, and your ability to bring it to yourself through Torah.
What the title of this is?
It's
Mesilas Hashirim.
No, this is how to attain and not to detract from the vigilance.
But the overall title of this manuscript is The Way of God?
No, this is Mesilat Yesharim now. We're at the Ramch.
In English, though.
Huh? Path of the Righteous.
That's all I'm asking.
All right, no problem. You see, you are too busy on your phone.
I'm not. I'm trying to pull it up on my phone. So I can
beautiful.
read it with you.
Okay, so we're on chapter 5 on Mesilat Yesharim.
I got you.
So it says, how do you go about? As we mentioned, a person does not want to attain themselves and maintain themselves in the worries of all the mundane things in the world. ואי אפשר לתת להם לב אל המחשבה. You cannot put all your heart and thoughts into them. Of course, the Chachamim says, our sages says, that הווה ממעט בעסק ועסוק בתורה. He says, your business should not be your essence. The Torah should be your business, right? There's people that work all their life and end up dead and never use everything that all their life they collected, so to speak. Don't make your business the majority of your life. Make the Torah the majority of your life. Because in reality, heveh mema'et, he says, do very little. Meaning that, if you, chaz v'chalila, reduce, the Torah, you get more problems. But if you increase Torah, you get less problems. It's the same. If you reduce your involvement in business endeavors and involve yourself in Torah, you can only benefit. כי הנה העסק מוכרח הוא לאדם לצורך פרנסתו. We understand, the Ramch says, we all need to have a job, yes, of course. But it should not be the essence of your life. It should be alongside the Torah. אך ריבוי העסק אינו מוכרח שיהיה כל כך גדול. It said, even if you increase your business, let's say for an example, a person has one store, and all of a sudden he wants to open another store. If Hashem says you're going to get $1 million, no matter how many stores you open, it'll be $1 million. Because it says that everything is in Rosh Hashanah decided from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah until Rosh Hashanah. You heard that?
Mm-hmm, yes.
So from Rosh Hashanah to the next Rosh Hashanah, it's already established what you're going to make. And that Rosh Hashanah that's coming, you can change that for the next year. And of course, according to your behavior during the year, how Hashem will, give you the parnasa. So it doesn't matter how many stores you have, how many different outlets. When Hashem says you're going to get $1 million, it doesn't matter. So it says that what? כבר זכרנו שהיא המצטרכת יותר לאדם, לשיגיע אל הזהירות. It says because, a person understand, yes, you need a job, but you have to remember, this is the thing that should not be the central of your life, and you got to be careful with that. Rabbi Pinchas says, Torah mevi'a li'idei zehirut, וזולתה לא יגיע אליו כלל. He says, the Torah brings to what we call vigilant, right? Mm-hmm. When you learn Torah, you're very careful. And how do you go about that? He says, because the Torah studying bring to you this character of being careful, of zehirut. וזולתה לא יגיע אליו כלל. Without it, you will not attain anything at all. So even if you think, I'm a smart businessman and this and that, what Hashem wants you to have, you'll have regardless. Whether you do or don't, it's up to you. And the Torah will bring you that vigilance to understand that. Our sage says, Velo am haaretz chasid. Right? We know in Shmot, it says that the people of the world, they're not Hasidim. Right? Meaning, Am Haaretz is a person that's not smart. Right? When somebody says this, Am Haaretz is an ignorant person. Right? They're not a chassid. They're not a pious, so to speak. He says, why? Because the Torah study that they have, the knowledge, is precludes because they don't have any Torah. They're not a pious. You can only be a pious if you have Torah. Chassid is to do chesed, to do good. But how you do good? Through the Torah first. He says, Akadosh Baruch Hu says, I created what we call Yetzer Hara. It's part of what I created, I know. But I also created a tavlin. I also created a spice for him. It's called Barati Yetzer Hara, Barati Lo Torah. Tavlin, I gave the Torah in order to defeat him. How do you defeat Yetzer Hara? With Torah. You cannot defeat Yetzer Hara alone. Only with Torah. Nobody is strong enough to do that. Not even the biggest tzaddikim in the world. Right? We know many tzaddikim fell several times. We say, Sheva pa'amim yipol tzaddik v'kam. 7 times the tzaddik can fall, but they rise. Only because he's tzaddik, because he's close to Hashem. והנה פשוט הוא שאם הבורא לא ברא למכה זו אלא תרופה זו. It's simple. Hashem, for everything that he does, he has the component to cure, right? Every chaz v'chalila illness, right, that Hashem or anything that Hashem create has what we call the measure for measure. If you need this, you'll get this. And if you need bad, you'll get good. And if you do good, you get good. Hashem gives the elements equal, right? If Hashem says, here, I'm giving you a snake. I know the snake can kill you, but it already within the snake is, I'm going to cure you too. So in reality, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, he will never give you anything that he cannot cure you from, so to speak, if you deserve it, right? Whoever thinks that they can come out of things by himself without the Torah is a big mistake. Or without being careful, the zehirut we're dealing with being vigilant, to be not to get to those conditions. And because a person can come to a place because of their choices. But even if you did, Hashem says, listen, there's a way to get out of it. And you'll see everything that you made mistake with. When you die, Hashem will show you everything that you've done. It says, the Yetzer Hara is very strong. The evil inclination is really very, very strong within a person. They say the more tzaddikim became bigger tzaddikim, the Yetzer Hara was bigger in them. It says here, the Ramchal, that mibli da'ato, if a person does not keep being careful, being vigilant, and being very attent to what he needs to do slowly, this Yetzer Hara makes stronger and stronger and stronger in the person, and it control him at the end. Or her, chaz v'chalila. Ve'im ya'aseh kol tachbolot sheba'olam. Whatever trickery, whatever you can do, if you don't take the medicine that God created for that, what's going to happen? You'll fail. You cannot win Yetzer Hara without Torah. This is the tavlin that God created for him. This is the spice that fixes everything in order for you to win. Right? He says, it's כמו שכתבתי, the Ramchal says, I wrote this before, לא ידע ולא ירגיש בתגבור את חוליו, אלא כשימות. Sometimes people don't realize how sick they are with the Yetzer Hara, that only after they die they realize. They will get blinded by it so bad that you don't even know. And he says, what is it like? He says that it's like a doctor, שיתקדם לו ידיעה במלאכת הרפואה, יניח חסם ההוא ויקח מה שיעלה מחשבתו. If a doctor sees certain sickness, he knows that there's a medicine for it, but he takes something else for it. He prescribes a different medicine. Is it going to cure that? No, that's not the medicine that goes for this. Each thing has its own. As we mentioned before, trufa, Hashem cures first, and then he sends a doctor, rapo yirape. Today, unfortunately, many, they say that many doctors think they're God, right? There's a saying that, good, there's a lot of needs in hell for doctors, right? He says, v'chen davar, if you do chaz v'chalila, the wrong medicine, you kill the patient. It's the same thing. If you don't learn Torah and be careful, you let Yetzer Hara kill you at the end. You are the patient. כן זה הדבר, כי אין זה שמכיר בחוליי היצר הרע וכוחו המוטבע בו. You have to recognize the power of Yetzer Hara, because it's part of you. You mentioned when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Adam, he says, Vayitzer, with two Yudim, right? Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Hara Tov. And it's mutba bo, it's inside of him, so to speak. You know, that's why we say tabat. You know, tabat is a ring, right? It's become nature. Now you're married, you become one, you are embedded into each other. So he says here, Ela bor'o shebra'o. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows, he created that, and he warned you about this, and he knows how to fix it, and he told you how to fix it. Torah, this is the medicine to win Yetzer Hara. Because people that have Torah in them, Yetzer Hara slowly leave them alone. He says, oh, that's not a good client. Let's move on. There's a better wicked person out there. Who is going to leave this medicine? Right? Chaz v'chalila. He knows that only because of that he'll be alive, so to speak. A person that doesn't use the Torah, the darkness on his life will grow from one step to the other. You know, by the way, Hashem always give opportunity. Nothing is fast, right? Everything is slowly, right? You have steps. You go madraga, step. Because Hashem wants you to stop and look, you know, from each level. What level are you in? When HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Ayeka, what's Ayeka? In Hebrew means, where are you? Ayeka, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for an example, said this to Cain when he killed Hevel, says Ayeka. Or to Adam when he sinned, Ayeka. What's Ayeka? He says, Elohim yodea kol hanistarot.
Where are you holding?
I know everything. It's an acronym. Hashem sees everything. The question is, where are you holding? Exactly. Where are you now? He says, והוא חס וחלילה לא יבין עד שימצא שקוע ברעה מתוך שהוא רחוק מן האמת. A person is such in a bad place, is so far from the truth, that it's become, as we mentioned, in a dark place, and all he does is worried and has hirurei dvarim, and he will never ask his heart to know the truth. He gets to a place where even not demanding from his own self the truth, chaz v'chalila. He said that, you know, that even, right, the slightest notions of searching for the truth will not enter his mind. Imagine that, chaz v'chalila, if you get to that level. אפילו עוסק בתורה באותה דרכיה, it says, even if you know, when a person, if he's involved himself with Torah, the study, and when he sees the wisdom and the ways that he needs to do, the commandment and the warning, הנה סוף סוף מאליו יתחדש בו התעוררות. It will wake you up. Sometimes we're asleep even when we're awake, right? Something, you know, could happen to you that you all of a sudden say, holy moly, what happened here? And then you start searching, why is it happening? So the question should never be why. It says, what for? Why? Believe me, Hashem does it, there is no bad. There's no such thing as bad for you. Hakol letova. When you ask yourself, what for? You'll have a much clearer vision of how to fix it. Because when you say why, that means you complain. You're not clear. You blame somebody else. By the way, that was the biggest sin of Adam HaRishon. The eating from the tree of knowledge, that was actually the secondary sin. The original sin of Adam, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Ayeka, where are you? What have you done? How do you know? The first thing, what Hashem was telling Adam, I'm giving you a chance to do tshuva. You can tell me, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's okay. Adam, with this chutzpah, says, blames Hashem. It's you, Hashem. This is the woman you gave me. Man up. Sorry, I made a mistake. Right? Hashem, I'm sorry. I'm only human. Adam. By the way, Adam...
But he wasn't only human, that's the key.
Exactly. No, now that he's sin, he's only human.
Yeah, now.
Adam is an acronym. Adam, David, Mashiach. He is, we know, he gave 7 years of his life to David HaMelech. Right? And David HaMelech says something beautiful in Tehillim. Don't trust men. אל תפתחו באדם, כי אין לו תשועה. יצא רוחו, ישוב לאדמתו. Meaning, when you put your trust in men, even Adam wanted his 7 years back. Hashem says, no, done, you gave it away, it's a gift. David HaMelech realized, says, don't trust men, because men always fail you. Trust Hashem. Many times there's men that don't fail you, Baruch Hashem, I hope never, but it happens, we know many times. Continue the Ramchal, it says, only because you deal with Torah, you'll realize that will bring you to the right path, to the Yaviucha el derech hatov.
Virtue.
Right? Virtue is another words for in English, but the derech hatov is derech haTorah. When הקדוש Baruch Hu said in Parashat Chukat, when Moshe Rabbeinu says to the Amalekite and to the other, derech hamelech nelech, we're walking with the path of Hashem. Don't worry. We'll not steal from you. We'll not take your land. We'll not even use our stuff. We'll buy everything from you. Derech Hashem nelech. Derech hamelech nelech. Is, by the way, the acronym my father said is our acronym, Dahan. Derech hamelech nelech. He says this is the path you should walk all your life. If you walk in this path, first you have respect to yourself, and people will respect you because you respect yourself. Right? When people respect themselves, you don't have to chase respect. Respect is not to be demanded. It's to be given by other people. When you respect somebody else, it's because they deserve it. Hashem says, kabed. Have kavod for your parents, for me, for the Torah. Don't worry about your kavod. It will come, people will realize that. And it says, continue, it says, and what our sages said in the book of Veicha, Rabati, which is one of the Midrashim, it says, Halevai oti azvu v'torati shamru. Hashem says, one rabbi says beautifully, Rabbi Yosef says, whenever people come and kiss the Torah and kiss the Ark and they kiss, Hashem says, don't kiss me. Learn the Torah. I didn't ask you to kiss me all the time. I don't want your kisses. He says, Hashem says, Alevai oti azvu, you can leave me, but don't leave the Torah. Meaning that if you learn the Torah, you know who I am. You will never leave me. But Hashem even says, הלוואי אותי עזבו ותורתי שמרו, שהמאור שבה מחזירו למוטב, that the lights in it will bring you closer to goodness, to the right path. Even Hashem says, it's okay, you can leave me if you really into the Torah and you learn and you trust and you study, it's okay, don't worry about me. How great it is, what an amazing thing to have such a beautiful understanding of Hashem and how much really the Torah should be at the life of every person in our essence of our lives. והנה בכלל זה גם כן קביעות העיתים. They say that one of the question, the sixth question, Hashem will ask you when you come back to Him. It says, did you set time for Torah? Not did you learn Torah. Did you set times for Torah? האם עשית עיתים לתורה? Our sages have debated this, a lot of these questions. What do you mean time? How come Hashem doesn't say, why didn't you learn Torah? By the question is automatically, if you set time to Torah, you will learn Torah. Mm-hmm. But it's very hard not to learn Torah if you don't have time for it. Right? It says you have to say
If you set times, then time will make itself available.
That's right. That's right. If you said to yourself, I'm going to learn an hour a day, either you go to kollel, yeshiva, or by yourself, or whatever. There's so many opportunities, Baruch Hashem, today to learn Torah, unlike before. For example, when I grew up, in my yeshiva, half yeshiva school that I was, we had to go to I don't know how many books to get one answer. Yes. Right? And you had to prove it to the rabbi, and I got it from here, and this is the source, and what it said. We spent hours to get one answer. Right? Today, have Rabbi Google in a second. You can go to all the good. Don't go from Google. I'm saying search the right rabbis or the right. No, you go to. There's a lot of halachot and Shulchan Aruch on your phone, and you have
in 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes, right? Did you imagine how many people in the old 400 or 500, 1,000 years ago had to go? There was one rabbi, Zichrono Livracha. It was Sha'agat Aryeh. His name was the Lion Roars. Mm-hmm. That was his. That's the nickname they gave him. He didn't give it himself. It's called Sha'agat Ha'aryeh. And this rabbi, he used to go every Shabbat, go from town to teach Torah. It was very poor. But he would walk on a donkey or hitch a ride with a carriage. Would go from town, arrives to this town, and he was sitting there, and the rabbi of the congregation says, come to my house, for dinner, Friday night. Thank you so much. He took him, went to his house. And the rabbi says, perhaps you are a guest, you have a Dvar Torah. He gave, now nobody knows who he is. They just see in shul. He gave a Dvar Torah. Everybody's in awe. The rabbi says, wow, it's amazing. The rabbi didn't know at the time who it was, but he had his book. And he was so upset with him that he did not say where he learned, because, there's a mitzvah to tell who you learned it from, right? They say if you want to bring Mashiach, acknowledge who you learned it from. We learned this from who? Esther. When Mordechai said to her, listen, there's two people, terrorists in the big town want to kill the king, Achashverosh, she went to him and she said, Mordechai told me. She didn't take the credit. She says, Mordechai told me. By that, from her, we learn, they said that if you want to bring Mashiach, always say who you learned it from. So this rabbi was so upset with him. So how come you don't say this source? I said, you know what? Tomorrow, I'll try again. Come, Shachrit, the prayer, the first meal, they come. Says, can you come to our house again? Would you like to? It was such a beautiful Dvar Torah. Says, you'll be in such an honor. Thank you, Rabbi, He goes to his house. He gives Dvar Torah after the meal. The rabbi spangles says, how come you don't say that it's from Shagat Aryeh? The poor person looked at him and says, look, my book is more famous than I am. That was him, but he was so humble and modest. They called him Shagat Aryeh. He says his Torah was like a lion roar. It's a very good book to have. Shagat Aryeh. So it says, when you set time for Torah, it's the biggest mitzvah to do. Why? אל חשבון המעשה ותיקונו כמו שכתבתי למעלה. It says really the tikkun, by thinking and doing it, this is really how you fix yourself when you set time for Torah. ומלבד כל זה, כל מה שישאר לו פנאי מעסקה, it says when you have time, when you don't work, study Torah. Don't watch TV, sit in front of the TV, or sit in a beautiful balcony overlooking a church and saying what's going on with La Pure, right? Learn Torah. It's a private joke for the call. But let's continue. אם חכם הוא, ודאי לא יעבדהו. If you're smart, you won't lose that time, אלא יאחז בו מיד. You will hold on to it. ולא ירפהו. You'll never leave it alone in order to learn להעסיק את נפשו בעסק נפשו ותיקון עבודתו. By learning Torah, you are actually dealing with the real business, is your tikkun neshama. And your midot, and your character traits. V'chaz v'chalila, v'zeh hamafsid, the person that doesn't do it is a loser, so to speak. Af al pi shu hayoter klali, even though this is a general, so to speak, one of the general rules, הנה הוא היותר קל למי שרוצה להימלט, שימלט ממנו. It's very easy for a person, chaz v'chalila, to escape from it, because it's the easiest. People say, let me forget it, I'm going to avoid it. I'm not going to do it, right?
Just from this text here.
Yeah.
It's spoken of that it's very hard to be a self-examiner from a position of neutrality, because we have a tendency to love ourselves enough that we'll give us. Yeah,
we forgive ourselves more than anybody else. Right? If we forgive our friends like we forgive ourselves, the Mashiach will come long time ago.
But it says, how do you know a way that you can accomplish that? Because you have to be
very simple. When you are to ben Torah, bat Torah, you will know everything. That's the thing. Everything is in the Torah. Hashem says when He created the world, He looked at the Torah and created the world. That was the foundation of, so to speak, He's the architect of the world. The drawing of this design came from the Torah.
So by the learning of Torah, then you would naturally
be able
subdue that tendency to be
100%. as much as you can. You know, the Torahs give you what we call the sum, what we call the Sam HaChaim. Many people, why do people do drugs?
Escapism.
Exactly. If you deal with Torah, you don't need to escape from anywhere. Hashem says, I gave you tavlin to fight Yetzer Hara. I gave you the medicine to win. Imagine somebody has cancer, and you have a medicine here, and you say, listen, here's the medicine, and this person doesn't take it. That's exactly what it is when you don't learn Torah. You allow this sickness into you because you're... That's why I say it's very easy to people to convince themselves not to do it. Why? Because they never begin to understand how powerful the Torah is. Ach hasheni, it says there is the second kind, who kashe me'od v'hu aschok ve'alatzon. So we mentioned the second person that chaz v'chalila lose their vigilance and lose their being careful, zehirut, is a person that's what we call aschok ve'alatzon, which is basically somebody that always deal with levity and mockery, so to speak. There's a story in Israel, one comedian, you know, many comedians, first you should not be a comedian. Hashem did not bring you here to be a comedian, right? It says, if I wanted a clown, Hashem, a very funny way of getting back at people. There is a comedian in Israel, all he does, he makes fun of people.
That's not really comedy, though.
Yeah, but one second.
That's sarcasm.
No, that's actually humiliation. It's the worst of all. You'll have no
And
share
people
for the
laugh
world.
at it for some reason.
Stupid people have no Torah. Anybody with Torah will never go to a comedy. That's where it be. So this guy was making fun of everybody. One day, one of his assistants says, listen, this is the ugliest person in the crowd. He's such funny looking. We're going to bring him to the front and I'm going to point it to you, you know, because it's dark. He cannot see. So I'll stand and you'll know who to point out and have the light on them and make fun of him. So the comedian says, great. Wow, I don't have to start, you know, looking for somebody if you already come. You know, the place was packed and his buddy of the comedian goes and stands behind this person. And the guy now is already preparing this comedy. Oh, there's this person, is the ugliest person on earth, and he just said, forgive me, but you know, I have to see it. Can somebody point it out? The guy pointed out, the comedian looks, it's his father. It was his own father. Came to see him, see what's the big fuss. And here now standing and humiliating his father. By the way, this comedian later made tshuva. It's a true story in Israel. Let's continue. It says, a person, chaz v'chalila, that's a joker, so to speak, and deal with mockery and all that, ki mi shetovah bam, is like almost like drowning, like you go to a sea. If you are in a sea by yourself, it's only a matter of time that you'll be drowned, right? And kashe me'od limaleh, it's very hard to get away from it. When you chaz v'chalila, I hope to nobody to be in that position. But if you're in the middle of the Atlantic or whatever the case may be, only by the miracle of God you'll be safe, because nobody can ever come out of it. It's very rare that people survive more than a day or 2 or 3, you know. Just being tired, you'll start sinking, and not to mention the heat or the waves or the shark or everything that's have to. This is really the world you're in when you are in mockery. When you are about schok velatzon, limalet, it's very hard to get away from that. It says, when you are a joker, you lose your heart, so to speak. There's no more essence of first knowledge, nor the taste of life is basically gone from this person. מאבד את לב האדם. והרי הוא כשיקור או שותה אשר אי אפשר לתת בהם עורמה או להנהיגם. It says you consider a fool or a drunk that nobody can give you anything to, nobody will trust you. Chaz v'chalila, or you can never do anything or lead anything. Continue the Ramchal and says, כי אינם מקבלים הנהגה. Those people, they don't have any, you know, respect to authority. They don't have respect to the law. They don't have, you know, when people make mockery, they're at such level, chaz v'chalila, is like a fool and like a drunk person. You know, drunk people, They're very, very, very dangerous to begin with for themselves and for the other. If you chas v'chalila drink and drive, you can kill so many people, right? Or if you're full and you come into a place that, chas v'chalila has something that you need to guard, and you turn on a switch and a bomb it goes off, you can destroy a world, right? If you went to a bunker in Russia or in America and you're dumb enough to push the red button, and all of a sudden it has Third World War. This is how you are when it comes to Latzon and Schok. It says, והוא מה שאמר שלמה המלך, עליו השלום, King Solomon wrote in קהלת, לשחוק אמרתי מהולל ולשמחה מה זו עשה. King Solomon, as we know, he was the smartest of all men. He says, Shlomo says, I said in levity, it is madness. And joy, what does it accomplish? He says, really.
No, mirth. He says mirth, like just frivolity, being lighthearted when unnecessary.
I have the Ramchal here. You have the Rabbi Google. It's different.
No,
never mind. That's okay, whatever. We're not here to argue. We're here to add. And so in reality, Shlomo Melech says that, what is this? It's mad craziness. That's such, chas v'chalila. And our sage says, chok v'kalut rosh margilim et ha'adam le'erva. When a person has such, so to speak, being a joker, so it would lead him to do chas v'chalila erva. Is not it's the worst immorality in person when it comes to erva, We know that Noach got drunk, he got naked. When people drunk, they have no control over them anymore. Right? Chas v'chalila. Even Noach failed with this. Even Adam says they failed with this. It says that the wine, that was the fruit of the Geffen that got him drunk. And Noach, back then, you had to take one grape and squeeze it, and it's like 10 bottles of wine of today. The wine of the old days is nothing like what we have today. Even in the time of the Gemara, they say that the wine is called meziga. They had to add water. Limzog is to connect both the wine and the water in order to be able to just have a drink and to do kiddush. And today, what do we have? Even the best wine is 13%. Good wine, right? You have to, in order to achieve, and then become alcohol like 40%, right? It's to show you how, this kind of chas v'chalila bring you to erva when you have this kind of joker, life, so to speak. Ki af al pi shechamura hi ha'erva etzel kol ben dat. And it says when chas v'chalila, everything that has to do with immorality is a very, very bad transgression against Hashem. Because, Hashem hate that. This is one of the things that the temple was destroyed over. And it says, וליבו ירא מקרב אליה מכוח הציור שכבר נצטייר בשכלו. He said that a person, chas v'chalila, already have an image in their mind, that it's carved into their mind. That's why we're not allowed to look at bad things. Because everything you see is recorded. It's like the supercomputer that nobody can ever, It says that it becomes part of your sechel, chas v'chalila. It becomes part of your thinking. Me'ametat, you make it real, v'godel pisha v'rov ansha. It says that chas v'chalila, because of that, you have such more punishment to be received. And chas v'chalila, it's like a crime, pesha. There's 3 kinds of averot, as we mentioned. There is chet, there is avon, and pesha. Pesha is the worst. It's really criminal. It's doing it on purpose in front of everybody to upset Hashem and everybody else. He says, הנה השחוק והקלות ראש ממשיכים אותו מעט מעט, as we know, ומקרבים אותו הלוך וקרב, שתהיה היראה שרה. When a person in this kind of path, he has no more fear. The fear of God leaves him, or her, chas v'chalila. Me'at, me'at, again, it's all slowly, slowly. And Hashem does chesed with us. Nothing is happen fast, right? Usually when somebody allows Yetzer Hara, it's not big, like right away, let me murder somebody or let me steal. It's slowly, slowly. You have to allow it to grow in you in order to do something bad, right? You don't see somebody that can also break into a bank immediately. You have to be able to steal $1 from a tzedakah box or from a store, to food from a market. They always start with little things. Slowly, chaz v'chalila, he says he goes to a place that the fear leaves him. There's no yirat shamayim, not even yirah from other people. And he says here, ad sheyagia avon atzmo v'yaso. Then he actually get to that level to do this pesha, this avon. This avon is, we mentioned, something you already know, not to do and you do. וכל כך למה, why is this all that? לפי שכמו שכל מציאות הזהירות תלוי בשימת הלב. Because everything that has to do with being village, you have to pay attention. Right? When you don't pay attention, you make mistakes. If you drive and not looking on the right and left somebody, right? If you want to turn, even though if there is no light, you have to look around, right? You say, okay, there's somebody here, somebody here. That's how your life should be. Everything you do, you should look, what is the next thing? What's going to happen from it? So it says here that akol talui besimat lev, by paying attention to this so-called davar. Davar could be an object, could be an act, could be everything. It comes from the word to speak. When you say something, it becomes an object or thoughts or an action, right? When I said, give me this cup, I said it by word, but now it's a cup, right? Hashem says, be careful with the words, because everything is really become a matter. And he says, "Ken kol atzmo shel aschor eno ella mesir halev min hamachshavot hayesharot v'ayonot." This is because you're a joker, you remove your so-called common sense from your thoughts and from the ayonut in order to look deep into the act. ונמצא שלא יבוא הרהורי היראה בליבו כלל. You get to a place that you don't even worry anymore. Zero fear. Chaz v'chalila. Imagine, and this is happening, we see today for an example, in Israel, right? It's very interesting in Israel today. When I grew up in Israel, Arabs were terrified from Israelis.
Yes.
Terrified. They never came to your city unless you brought them to work.
Yes.
They never, ever got out of their villages, meaning, again, this is after Israel have a lot of Torah in it. There was a lot of things. There was really respect to Hashem. The more people, the bigger the Arab and strong and chutzpah like you never seen before. Once I went to the once, my son's bar mitzvah, Elohim yishmor oto. We did it in Israel in the Kotel. We did one here, one in the Kotel. We were walking towards the, after the service and everything, we had the gathering to go eat in a restaurant there. And we're walking towards the Jewish quarter, and I see a guy beating a Jewish kid. Okay? A yeshiva boy from a cheder, a suit and a hat, and everybody is looking. Now, ex-lieutenant, I went in, I took this Arab, and I put his hand in such chokehold that he could not move his hand. And I said to him, how dare you? Now everybody looks at me. I said, get out of here before I break your hands if you ever touch another Jew. Now, I'm standing there, all my guests and everything. The rabbi comes and says, what is wrong with you? Are you crazy? His rabbi says to me, what is wrong with you? Are you crazy? These Arabs they'll kill you. I looked at him and says, what happened to you? Are you a real rabbi?
Wow.
Now, we keep walking. This Arab guy brought another guy and had a knife with him. Now, I looked at him. I said to him, I will kill you with your own knife. Now, he looked at me. He knew I'm a man of God. I have no fear, only from God. He looked at me and walked away. I said, I know where he came from. I saw the restaurant you came out from. We're going to come and visit you soon. The guy looked at me, his buddy's pulling him. It's really when you have the trust in Hashem, nobody can ever. You see it evident today. If you go to the most religious neighborhood in Yerushalayim, not even one Arab walks there. They know, those are people of God. This is how we need to be. When we are with Hashem, our enemy is afraid of us. Even the Torah says, don't make peace with the Arab, mokesh. Hashem specifically said in the Torah, it will be like a mime you step on and explode. It's mokesh. Mokesh hilachem. Don't do peace with them. It says specifically, don't have al tichrot itam brit. Don't make peace with them. Because at the end, what's going to happen when Mashiach comes? None of them will ever be in Israel. We have to be really, really strong in belief. When we have allowed this kind of jokerness into our life and silliness, and you lose fear, and all of a sudden, you get to a place, chaz v'chalila. Continue the Ramchal and says, והנביא ישעיה, the prophet ישעיה, היה צווח על זה ככור חיה. You know, all the prophets came to really warn the people of Israel. When the prophets came, they always came with some, be careful, there's something happening, fix your ways, you know? After the Shoftim is the judges. Amongst them, there was the prophets, right? And there were, the Navi says he saw something. He says, he was crying out to them, he said, be careful because you're about, the affliction of mockery is coming upon you. Because why? He saw that, it says prophecy is really what Hashem wants people to know. It says that because they were such in a place that he saw that he has no room for him to even speak to them, they will make his words will not make any impression on them. Because they were at such level. והיה מאבד תקוותם של החוטאים. והוא שאמר, in the book of Yeshaya, the הקדוש ברוך הוא said to him to write, ועתה אל תתלוצצו פן יחזקו מוסריכם. He says to him, do not scoff, do not let your affliction become more severe because of that. Because, we see that many times, even Jeremiah Navi, was the father of Yechezkel. He years before the destruction. Warned them every day. They used to make fun of him. They used to call him Habuzi. Buzi means bizayon, to make mockery of a person. That's why it's called Yechezkel ben Buzi, the son of the one they mocked. Chaz v'chalila. Why? Because they got to a place that even the musar, the rebuke, doesn't speak to them anymore. וכבר גזרו, אומר חכמים זיכרונם לברכה, he said that our sages already decreed שהלץ מביא הייסורין עליו, a person that has a joker bring bad to them, affliction upon them. והוא מה שאמר כתוב, עצמו נכונו לליצים שופטים. He says, we already know from the Torah, in the book of Mishlei, King Solomon says that it's already known that what's the jokers will have. What are the people that lost this ability to have fear because of being such letzim? That's why David HaMelech says, "B'moshav letzim lo yashav." How blessed is the person that was not among the jokers. It's really is. We already know it says shfatim. There will be punishment for these people. Shfatim is really judge, right? The word shfatim comes from the word mishpat, right? That means there'll be a day you will be judged. We already know that you'll lose. We already know. It's established already. Avoid that. But people that get to the level that they don't even see that. That's why I said they lose the yira, even the fear of the punishment. It says, כי זהו דבר נותן אותו. כי מי שמתפעל, it said this is really how the logic behind it, dedicated to this logic. It says a person that is really pay attention to the התבוננות ומן הלימוד. When a person pays close attention by looking at התבוננות, as we mentioned, not just seeing, is understanding. And he learned Torah, אינו צריך שיתייסר בגופו. His body doesn't suffer. Whenever הקדוש ברוך הוא brings suffering to your body, that means your neshama is not happy. Clearly is that. Baruch Hashem, we have some really good news. 3.5 months ago, We have a foundation through our Nesa Torah. We help patients, that needs help. All Jewish patients that come to San Diego. Almost 4 months ago, somebody came to me and says to me, listen, we have this lady, she's a mother and she has cancer. They gave her a couple months. And I said, who are they? Are they God? What do you mean gave her a couple months? So we have a dear friend that is the chairman of City of Hope. He's a very good Talmid Chacham. He's a very humble tzaddik nistar. I said to him, please help us, if you don't mind, to get a second opinion. I'll pay, whatever, we raise the money. He says, no, it's okay, we'll do it. But I said to her, I said, listen, you want Hashem to cure you? You have to become religious. You have to keep Shabbat. You have to keep Nida. You have to do everything that you need to do as a Jewish woman. She started crying. She said, I'm so far. I said, listen, it doesn't matter. Just do it. Start one step. Keep Shabbat. Start with Shabbat. Now, the person that brought her heard me. He at the time also started keeping Shabbat. Last week, she did a test. She's cleared from everything. No cancer. Hashem, when people come and do tshuva, real tshuva, and say, Hashem, I'm sorry, I'm willing to change my life, please help me. Hashem invests in people that invest in Him. Rapo yirapeh.
Measure for measure.
That's right. A measure for measure. Midah keneged midah. Many, many times we see miracles like this out of this world. Baruch Hashem, we work with Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky to give us a special blessing. And another Rabbi Netanyahu. They're giants of Torah. They, from their own location, one in Bnei Brak, one in another place, he doesn't want people to know where, or Rabbi Führer. They say and give specific instruction to these people to do, and we transfer it to them. We say, here's what needs to be done. And miracles of miracles. It's unbelievable. It's so amazing. And this is exactly what it says, that a person that comes and have the idbonenut and study Torah, eino tzarich shityaser begufo. There's no need for them to suffer. Their body will never, chas v'chalila. כי כבר ישוב מחטאיו, בלי זה מכוח הרהורי תשובה. They say when a person looks, he already knows how to return from the sins. Because everybody knows right and wrong, right? It says that even the hirhurei tshuva, just the thinking of tshuva is already beginning of tshuva. The 3 sons of Korach were saved just because the thoughts of tshuva. Hirhurei tshuva. The 3 sons of Korach did not get swallowed by the earth, just the thought of tshuva.
I thought you said they stood up.
They stood up to Moshe just to ask, because it's the head of Israel, it's the king of Israel, with their father's intent. But in reality, the tshuva did not start there. The tshuva started where they were about to be swallowed. 3 sons. Hashem merited them instant reward to be saved. Not just that, we use their, they wrote many of the psukim and the prakim in Tehillim, Mizmor Shir Livnei Korach, every time. It's the sons of Korach. We say it on Yom Kippur. Like the highest of days, the holiest of days. Because of their tshuva, we say Mizmor Korach. That's the power of tshuva. He says, why? When you have hirhurim, when you start thinking of tshuva, it's already born into your heart. That means you will give room. ושכנתי בתוכם. על ידי מה שיקרא ומה שישמע מן המוסרים והתוכחות. A person has to hear and read Musar. Rebuke. When you hear Musar, how do we know that Musar is the most important? Because it's come from Moshe Rabbeinu in the Torah. Pirkei Avot says, Moshe kibel Torah miSinai. Moshe received, kibel come from the Kabbalah. He knew the secret of Torah. Who mesara leYoshua. He gave the Musar to Joshua in order to be him. He knew that Joshua is now taking them to the land of Israel. And he needs to rebuke them. He says to him, be strong with the people, not with Hashem. Have the Musar to rebuke them. Really, the Musar is essence of everyday's life in a Jewish person. You have to have Musar every day. That's what we do in Mesilת Yesharim every day. The rebuke of the Ramchal is really the essence of not to be falling into chas v'chalila, a trap of Yetzer Hara.
But you said Musar is not a harsh...
Whatever I said has already been said. It's not me.
Okay, well, it has been said.
Yes.
That Musar is not a harsh rebuke.
Who said anything about harsh?
Is the...
Rebuke.
People hear the word Musar, they think it means harsh rebuke.
No, I told you Musar is mesirah, is to give something.
Right.
It's not to rebuke a person that's bad things. You give them the tool to be able not to make mistakes. People know what's right and wrong. You don't have to give them rebuke. Hashem rebuked the people of Israel when they sinned, because this, even Moshe when he sinned, Hashem rebuked him. He said, Yan kilo. He said, because you didn't listen to me. I asked you to teach Torah, not to hit the rock. That was a rebuke for the sake of rebuking. But everyday learning Musar is a big mitzvah. Because then you know how to conquer and win Yetzer Hara through the Torah. It says here, Achaletzim, the joker, so to speak, שאינם מתפעלים מן התוכחות, מפני כוח ליצנותם. Those people, when you give a musar to a clown, at you and he laugh even more. He lost the sense of, what's really right and wrong. אין להם תיקון אלא השפטים. There's no way to fix them, only punishment. חס וחלילה. It says שאלה לא יהיה כוח בליצנותם לדחותם מעליהם כאשר ידחו המוסרים. He says there's power that you can take over because they're such in a place that the common sense is already lost. They're not in a place where they can hear your musar. And they push it away. Continue, the Ramch says, והנה כפי חומר החטא ותולדותיו. It comes from what we call chomer hachet, the material part of the sin. That's already, and tolatav is how he created. Toladav means what's the source of it, right? You have, for an example, Ele toldot Noach. This is the lineage generation. You have to have the father, Av Tum'ah, for an example, right? You have toladot. You have all kinds of, but everything has to come from one source, so to speak. And it says when the judge come and see those kind of things, it said this judge is going to really judge them according to their severe and severity of the transaction and the mockery. Because, you judge according to your action. And it says, our sages, Kasha ha'leitzanut shetchilato yesurin v'sofo kliya. They said that chaz v'chalila, the leitzanut, the people that have the mockery in them, it's so hard that the suffering is unbelievable. And the end, klaya, you can't come back from it even. They say chaz v'chalila, when a person machtia rabim, let's say you're a joker and you make fun and you insult so many people, it's very, very hard to come back from it. Right? Machtia rabim is a person that makes sins, is one person but causes thousands to sin. For an example, my Rebbe says, Chaz v'chalila, Bnot Israel today, Elohim Yishmor, they walk half naked on the street. One woman can walk, have 1,000 men make sins. Just looking at her. Can you imagine if she wants to do tshuva, she has to find out those 1,000 people and ask forgiveness? Who can find them? This is because she has no musar. Oh, a DJ that does a party and have girls and boys dance together, do drugs. You can never return from that. It's almost impossible. The Chafetz Chaim has a beautiful story. Chafetz Chaim says somebody says, I want to do tshuva. I hurt so many people. The Chafetz Chaim says to him, come tomorrow, bring a pillow, a goose feather pillow. The guy says, a pillow? What do I need a pillow for? He says, come tomorrow to the Bet HaMidrash. And he did. Come in the morning. The Chafetz Chaim took him up to the roof. Chafetz Chaim ripped the pillow and let all the feathers fly away. He says to him, now go pick every one of them. It's nearly impossible. This is how your lashon goes everywhere. It hurt so many people. How can he go and ask forgiveness? How can he find all these little feathers fly in the winds between people, between buildings, how? This is the musar you have to have every day. Every day, because Yetzer Hara will tackle you every day. Lafetach chatat rovetz. You know, when Cain killed Hevel and he did tshuva, he says, Gadol avoni minso, I cannot carry this anymore. I cannot. He was actually asking Hashem, says, my pain, I cannot carry it. This chaz v'chalila, this is avon, the murder that I've done. I cannot carry it anymore. And Hashem allowed him tshuva. And right there it says, Lafetach chatat rovetz. It says in the opening, Yetzer Hara is waiting. You know, it's very interesting. What petach? You know, we come from one opening when we have a baby. We come from the rechem, the womb, right? If you take the word rechem in Hebrew and you look at the letters that come after each letter of rechem, right? After resh come samech. After chet come tet. And after mem come nun. Satan is waiting. Right when you come out. Right when you wake up, right when you leave your house, right when everywhere he's waiting for you in every opening. Don't let him in. Be'ezat Hashem, we have a few more minutes. We'll finish with, it says that really, after all said and done, that the chaz v'chalila, the person, the third person that loses from all this is the person that says in a bad company. You know? It says, Chevrat tipshim pot'im. When you place yourself in bad company, you put yourself among foolish and sinners. Veroe keselim yaroa. It says, King Solomon says, what is veroe keselim yaroa? It says, one whose friends are fools will be broken. Right? If you are chas v'chalil in a bad company, that's if you're in a gang. You're not a gangster. You just go hang out with a gang. There's a drive-by shooting, you get killed. You're not a gangster. You've done nothing. Hang out with them. You suffer because of their punishment. O chaz v'chalila, business with not good people. You can go to jail. Even though you're not did anything. I helped him, you know, this. But hey, these not a good people. You should know that. You are judged by the company you keep. And the Ramch goes into a lot of details, and because we only have 1 hour for this chapter, I'll give you the end of it. And he says, V'adabra be'edotecha neged melachim ve'lo evosh. It says that, you know, a person is obligated to protect Hashem even against kings. Don't be afraid. They say when a person insults you, don't even answer them. Just let it be.
You say duck water.
Duck.
The water that rolls off the duck.
Just listen. Just like say Hashem, take care of them. Thank you. Don't even say anything. Not a word to them. It's people that can take an insult and not repeat or return an insult or fight. Segula, to ask them for a blessing. Okay? On the other hand, if somebody insults Torah and Hashem, you have to stand for them, even if they're kings. What does it mean? You know, it says, "Va'adabra be'edotecha neged melachim ve'lo evosh." I will speak of your Torah, your edotecha is edut. The Torah is testament, not the New Testament, the one and only testament. Even when kings, you know, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Shimon, all the rabbis stood against biggest kings in the world. Had no fear. Even though they knew they're going to die, no fear. He did Kiddush Hashem, the sanctifying of Hashem's name, to the highest levels. The 10 Harugei Malchut, the 10 people that were killed, you know, the giant rabbis, they were actually the reincarnation of the 10 brothers that sold Yosef. But they did a tshuva finally, when they sanctified in honor of Hashem. Continue, Ramch says, Al ken samti panai kachalamish ve'eda ki lo evosh. He says, therefore, I made my face as hard as flint as I know, as you would be not ashamed. You should never be ashamed being Ben Torah. Never be ashamed of having a kippah on. Never be people. Believe me, at the end, you'll be the winner, not them. So Be'ezat Hashem, I wish all of you to realize that the musar that we need to take from every of our biggest giant rabbis that gave us the opportunity to learn is daily occurrence. You have to do it every day. That's the only way. And the tavlin is the Torah. So thank you everybody for being with us online. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing the class online. We appreciate it. I'm Rabbi Dahan with Kol Ahavat Israel, and Be'ezat Hashem, this class will be posted on our website at neshatorah.org. May you have a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll see you tomorrow, Be'ezat Hashem. Thank you.